and welcome to our morning edition of Arirang News. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, who left Pyongyang on his armored train, crossed into China in the early hours of this morning. Kim is expected to arrive in Beijing to attend a military parade alongside the leaders of China and Russia. Consumer prices in August rose 1.7% from a year earlier, the lowest level of increase in 9 months, showing easing inflation. A strong earthquake in eastern Afghanistan has killed at least 800 people and injured over 2,500 more. Rescue efforts are underway in the region, but destroyed roads and steep terrain is hampering rescuers from trying to reach people trapped under mud and debris. We begin today with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, who left for Beijing on his private train yesterday. He's expected to arrive in China's capital city today to attend a military parade there on Wednesday. Our Shin-Young starts us off.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's armored train, which left for Beijing, crossed into China early Tuesday morning, according to North Korean state-run newspaper the Rodong Sinmun. Earlier on Tuesday, the North Korean Central News Agency confirmed that Kim left for China on Monday to attend a military parade to mark China's 80th anniversary of Victory Day on Wednesday, though it did not provide the exact time or route. The report said Kim is being accompanied by officials, including Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee, but did not mention whether his daughter Ju-ae or his wife Lee Seol-ju are part of the entourage. Kim last visited China in January 2019.
There is a focus on preparing for multilateral diplomacy, also by showing strengthening ties between Pyongyang, Beijing, and Moscow. Kim is trying to boost his own political influence and leverage for when he negotiates with Russia.
Kim's train is expected to arrive in Beijing on Tuesday. The trip to Beijing is reportedly expected to take around 20 hours to cover the 1,300-kilometer route slowed by the train's heavy armor and the poor condition of North Korea's railway.
Using a train can be seen as a measure prioritizing safety over air travel. Additionally, Kim places great importance on on-site visits. Meeting other leaders while doing such on-site visits could be used in domestic politics. This is likely why he chose to travel by train.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is also in Beijing, and if Kim does stand together with Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping, it would be the first time for the three leaders to appear together, highlighting closer ties. Shin-Young, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung will attend the UN General Assembly in New York later this month. That's according to a spokesperson Kang Yoo-jung on Tuesday, saying the South Korean leader will address the 80th session to share Seoul's experience of overcoming a crisis of democracy. He will also present his visions and policies on key global issues, including the Korean Peninsula. South Korea has assumed the rotating presidency of the UN Security Council for the month of September, and Lee will preside over an open debate on September 24th on AI and global peace and security. It's the first time that a South Korean president will lead such a session. And the White House unveiled a detailed look inside last month's summit between South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and U.S. President Donald Trump. The dozens of photos released captured a cordial atmosphere throughout the visit. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
The White House has unveiled a detailed look inside last month's summit between South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and U.S. President Donald Trump, releasing dozens of photos on the image-sharing site Flickr. With the meeting being held on August 25th at the White House, it presented a high-stakes meeting aimed at strengthening the alliance on security, trade, and technology. But most of the photos captured a cordial atmosphere throughout Lee's visit. Images include Trump welcoming President Lee at the West Wing entrance, their talks inside the Oval Office, and the two leaders shaking hands at the historic Resolute desk. Perhaps most symbolic was Lee's handwritten message in the guest book. He wrote, "In the golden era of the South Korea-U.S. alliance, a strong and great future starts anew." The signing of the guest book was also followed by Trump's fascination for the pen brought by Lee, specifically for the summit.
Is that your pen?
저기 펜이 직접 그 대통령
네,
거죠?
가지고 있는.
Very
Yes,
good.
that's my pen.
That's a nice pen.
Additional images show Trump and Yi watching television coverage of their meeting together, as well as Yi smiling alongside Vice President J.D. Vance and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. On the South Korean side, the delegation included Foreign Minister Cho Hyun, National Security Advisor Wi Sung-rak, and Industry Minister Kim Jong-un, all seen in photos accompanying the president during key moments. Observers noted the summit went forward smoothly, despite Trump posting a critical social media message about the Yi administration just before the meeting. The newly released photos, however, emphasized the cooperative tone and symbolism that both sides sought to highlight. 이승재, Arirang News.
And economic issues have been central to relations with the United States since Trump's second term began. And these issues were at the forefront of talks when Presidents Yi and Trump met in Washington last week. As part of a trade deal with Washington to lower tariffs, Seoul committed $350 billion in investments, with a big chunk of that, $150 billion, earmarked for shipbuilding cooperation. For more on this, we're joined by Professor Song Soo-young, professor at the College of Business and Economics at Chungang University. Professor Song, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
So, do you think the shipbuilding partnership between South Korea and the United States can transform and effectively revive the struggling American shipbuilding industry? And how do you see the government's so-called Make American Shipbuilding Great Again project as? Do you think this will be a win-win for both countries? Now, can we expect a major deal to be signed on naval shipbuilding, perhaps?
Yeah, I definitely agree with your idea and your opinion that the shipbuilding is a really key linchpin that connects the South Korea and the United States, the economic cooperation, particularly the recent visit by President Lee Jae-myung to Philly Shipyard, which was operated and managed by Hanwha Ocean. And there are another very big big shipbuilders in South Korea, the Hyundai Heavy Industry and the Samsung Shipbuilding. Particularly, the Hyundai Heavy Industry tried to make a shipbuilding facility and renovate the facility in Louisiana. There is a cutoff area. To that regard, both countries particularly helped South Korea helped the U.S. To rebuild and reinvigorate the shipbuilding industry, as well as the most needed the vessel by United States is an LNG carrier. So liquefied natural gas carrier tank is necessary for the United States to develop some energy-related oil fields and natural gas in Alaska. So to that regards, both South Korea and the U.S. has a very cooperative and win-win situation. What is most key feature of the agreement between the two countries is non-binding commitment. So particularly the United States, the $150 billion are earmarked for shipbuilding, but remaining $200 billion, it could be used at the discretion of the United States. However, for South Korea, we have some kind of non-binding, which means we don't have any some binding commitment against a time frame. So we have a flexibility on time frame of investment, and then United States may have some flexibility in terms of in the choice of which field should be. But particularly, mostly the most advanced industry would be such as the rare earth materials and also semiconductors, AI-related, technology-related. Those fields are of the most of the first focus of the concern.
Right. Like you mentioned, President Lee Jae-myung visited the Hanwha Philly shipyard on the final day of his U.S. trip last week. So we could definitely see that the Korean government is focusing on shipbuilding cooperation with Washington. How has the MASGA project impacted Korean shipbuilding companies so far? Some analysts say it could drive growth for at least 5 more years. Do you think this momentum will last for a while?
Yeah, I think as far as the Trump continue his presidency in the White House, so what is at risk and uncertainty lies in the future of these commitment of the $350 billion investment is if Republican Party of the United States lose the control power of the presidency in the U.S. That is the risk, clearly, because, for example, Democratic Party in the U.S. has taken the presidency in the U.S., then they would like to change or they would like to revise this agreement. So that is why both countries, the current regime, stick to some non-binding commitment. Definitely shipbuilding yard and an LNG or project in Alaska, that is the two key factors that you used as leverage for South Korea and against the United States.
Right, like you just mentioned, the area of focus, another area of focus was on energy cooperation, especially, like you mentioned, the Alaska LNG project. And President Donald Trump mentioned that the United States is planning to make a joint venture with South Korea and that Japan is also very strongly involved in the project. How do you see this affecting Korean companies?
So far, I don't know the details, but my conjecture is South Korea is the United States wants South Korea to build LNG carrier tank that would help from the south part of the Alaska to carry the LNG to Asian market. On the other hand, Japan is expected by U.S. to participate in the construction of the pipeline from the north slope of Alaska. The distance between the north side of Alaska and the south side is 180 miles, 800 miles. So that means that is almost 1,300 kilometers. That is a really daunting and a very challenging job. But Japan has an experience to build such a pipeline or some gas line that connects the faraway remote areas to the port to be delivered and conveyed through directly delivered to the gas tank or the LNG tank. That was Japan had experience in Iran before the Islam Revolution in 1970s. That connects the Abadan with the seaport to deliver the natural gas, the liquefied. At the time, it was just oil, refined oil. But because of the Islamic Revolution in 1980, that was Japan must leave Iran almost within 24 hours at the time of the revolution. So they lose everything. So I guess that Japan wants some government guarantee, the federal government, U.S. federal government guarantee, because this Alaskan natural gas project is more than the budget of Alaskan state. Currently, Gamfandale, some companies is a joint venture in the Alaskan LNG project is offered by the United States. But I think, Japan wants some kind of federal government guarantee and the participation by the federal government. That's why there is some disagreement or some break in the progress of this Alaskan project between Japan and the U.S.
I see. We'll have to see how that plays out. All right, Professor Song, thank you so much for your insight today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for.
Meanwhile, top Trump administration officials are defending the use of reciprocal tariffs despite a federal appeals court ruling that most of the global levies are illegal. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio submitted statements on Friday, arguing the tariffs are essential to prevent trading partners from delaying talks or imposing retaliatory duties. In a narrow 7-4 decision, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit said the tariffs violate international law, but allowed them to remain in place until October 14th, giving the administration time to appeal. Bessent stressed that negotiations rely on the credible threat of swift tariffs, calling them a crucial tool to keep America's trading partners at the table. On the domestic economic front, South Korea's consumer prices, a key gauge of inflation, grew at the slowest pace in 9 months due to a temporary cut in phone bill costs. Data from Statistics Korea on Tuesday showed that the country's consumer price index rose 1.7% in August compared to the same month the year before. The agency attributed last month's slowdown to a 13% on-year drop in telecommunication fees. In response to a data breach in April, South Korea's largest wireless carrier, SK Telecom, gave users a 50% discount on their August bills, leading to a 3.6% on-year drop in public service fees. And this year marks 30 years since Korea set up an office of its foreign aid agency in Uzbekistan for development assistance. Upon this milestone, a team of reporters explored how Korea is supporting high-quality skill sets and jobs for Uzbekistan's young population. Our Oh Soo-young brings us part 2 of our series.
Makhmudov Mansur was a disillusioned dental trainee turned taxi driver, earning $100 a month. In his late 20s, he enrolled in a vocational program run by South Korea's foreign aid agency. For the last 8 years, Mansur's been running a publishing and IT firm, earning $800 to $1,000 a week.
I came with no background in it and worked as a taxi driver. What I learned at the center enabled me to run a 40-person business. Based on 8 months of study and 2 months of internships, 2 of my classmates and I founded a company. With our new factory, I expect to hire 120 more workers and hope to continue creating quality jobs.
One of 5 vocational schools set up in Uzbekistan by Korea International Cooperation Agency, the Samarkand Vocational Training Center nurtures young professionals in mechanics, electrical engineering, IT, computer graphics, and more. After completing a year in Samarkand, plus 2 years at a South Korean university, graduates go into business or land high-quality jobs with their acquired skill sets and Korean language skills.
I'm currently learning the basics of machinery. If I continue my studies in Korea, I hope to receive more advanced training there and eventually secure a good job.
Inspired by Korean online lecturers, this 30-year-old student aspires to become a mechanics professor.
Many of us had never seen such machines before, but Koreans brought these over and showed us. We were blown away. With this training, we can earn more than in jobs like driving buses or taxis, construction, or teaching.
With a population of 35 million, 6 in 10 Uzbeks are under 30 years old, meaning there's a huge demand for work. Around 500,000 enter the job market each year. Quake's vocational centers have together produced 11,000 graduates with a 92% employment rate.
When the Tashkent and Samarkand centers first opened, no other institution could provide even short-term vocational training. By showing what our center can do, we've set a shining example. So today, the Uzbek government now operates 65 vocational schools nationwide, on top of the 5 Koika vocational centers.
Beyond technology and skill training, it's crucial for young firms to acquire the know-how and connections to scale their businesses.
Here in Tashkent, Koika is backing the growth of young Uzbek IT specialists and companies, training professionals and linking businesses together to create a high-tech ecosystem.
Since 2021, Koika provided funding, training and hardware support for IT Park, a tech hub set up by the Uzbek government in 2019 to foster digital export businesses and attract global IT firms to Uzbekistan. IT Park offers business-to-business matchmaking, education in areas like artificial intelligence and data analytics, as well as further networking opportunities for resident companies.
We could learn about new trends and also network with Korean companies, so I'm recommending this program to others in the industry.
The capacity building program has trained over 630 students to date. Once the center of global commerce as a major Silk Road hub, Uzbekistan is working with South Korea to produce young technicians sporting new tricks of trade. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, Tashkent.
Good morning, I'm Choi Ji-hee, and this is The World Now. A devastating 6.0 magnitude earthquake in eastern Afghanistan on Sunday has killed more than 800 people. According to Taliban officials, on Monday, at least 812 people were killed and 2,800 others were injured in Afghanistan's deadliest earthquake in a decade, which struck just before midnight on Sunday. The quake's epicenter was located just east of Jalalabad, causing heavy damage in Kunar and Nangarhar provinces. Rescue and relief efforts are facing challenges due to disrupted communications and significant damage from landslides. Helicopters and military units have been deployed, but many survivors remain trapped. Authorities have warned that the death toll is likely to rise. This disaster comes as Afghanistan is already grappling with a severe drought, aid cuts, and what the World Food Programme describes as an unprecedented hunger crisis. In Europe, a plane carrying European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen was struck by suspected Russian GPS jamming, forcing the pilot to navigate using paper maps. A spokesperson for the Commission said on Monday that as von der Leyen's chartered flight approached southern Bulgaria on Sunday, ground-based GPS navigation systems experienced failure, reportedly due to deliberate jamming. Bulgarian authorities confirmed that the GPS signal had been neutralized, which forced pilots to switch to traditional terrestrial navigation systems to safely land the plane. The EU accused Russia of the interference, but the Kremlin denied the accusation, saying the information was incorrect. European airspace near Russia has experienced numerous suspected jamming incidents this year, targeting flights, ships, and drones. The European Commission stated that threats and intimidation are a regular component of Russia's hostile actions. It announced plans to deploy additional satellites in low Earth orbit to enhance the bloc's ability to detect and withstand cyber electronic threats. Also in Europe, a humanitarian flotilla departed from Barcelona on Monday after being forced to turn back due to stormy weather during its first attempt the previous day. The Global Samud Flotilla mission comprises at least 50 vessels from 44 countries and features high-profile participants, including climate activist Greta Thunberg and former Barcelona mayor Ada Colau. The largest civilian-led maritime convoy aims to deliver essential aid to Gaza, directly confronting Israel's naval blockade amidst a worsening humanitarian crisis. Organizers expect the flotilla will reach Gaza by mid-September, although interception by Israeli forces is likely. Finally, Joe Bugner, the Hungarian-born heavyweight boxer who fought Muhammad Ali for a world title, has died at the age of 75 at a care home in Brisbane, Australia on Monday. Bugner's 32-year professional career features 69 wins in 83 bouts, including 41 knockouts and multiple titles as British, European, and Commonwealth champion. Bugner's breakthrough came in 1971 when he defeated British icon Henry Cooper. In later years, he relocated to Australia, fighting under the name Aussie Joe. He became the oldest world heavyweight champion, having previously won the Australian heavyweight title in 1995.
The rain clouds have moved to the southeast and are bringing rain to parts of Jeollado and Gyeongsang-Dokdo provinces this morning, with 5 to 60 millimeters in the forecast there. Jeju Island might get 10 to 60 millimeters. Meanwhile, the rest of central areas, including Gangwon-do province, will get 5 to 20 millimeters of rainfall through this evening. Now, clouds kept the temperatures rather on a cooler side in the capital region yesterday. but highs will rise fast again under sunny skies. Meanwhile, heat wave advisories are still in place for the southern parts of Korea and Jeju Island. And that muggy air will push the feels-like temperatures during the day with a high of 32 degrees Celsius in Daegu, Gyeongju, Busan, and Jeju. Here in the capital, we'll also get up to 32 degrees after that comfortable morning temperatures. We are looking at frequent showers this week across Korea. Then next week will start to feel more like September.
That's all we have for this morning. Arirang News will be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.